The U.S. government has laws that most Americans have never heard of, laws that will literally pay you millions of dollars if you catch someone committing fraud. This is the story of a 21-year-old who discovered one of the biggest scams in American history, used those exact laws, and walked away with a potential reward of over $17 million. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which laws those are and how to use them yourself.
Welcome to Maverick Forge. Alex, known to his friends as Sasha, dropped out of college midway to start a career in trading. He landed a job at Caravan Trading, a New Jersey-based company that bought and sold biodiesel. Biodiesel is an alternative fuel made from products like soybean, corn, and recycled cooking oil. And here's something most Americans don't know. The federal government offers a $1 per gallon tax credit to companies that manufacture biodiesel. These credits are called Renewable Identification Numbers, or RINs. The rule is simple. Each credit can only be claimed once for any given volume of fuel. 1 gallon, 1 credit. That's it. Caravan Trading was making $50 million a year. On paper, it looked legitimate. But from day one, something felt off to Alex. 90% of Caravan's entire business came from just one customer, a company called e-Biofuels in Indiana. And e-Biofuels was paying above market rate for the fuel, which made no business sense at all. Alex started asking questions. Then, one day, out of nowhere, his boss Joe Ferrando pulled him aside and told him everything. Caravan wasn't selling raw materials. They were selling finished biodiesel fuel that had already been used to claim government tax credits. e-Biofuels would then fake the paperwork, pretend they had manufactured it from scratch, and collect the government credits all over again. The same fuel, claimed twice, stolen from American taxpayers. Ferrando called it alchemy, turning nothing into millions. Over 2 years, they fraudulently sold more than 35 million gallons of fuel, stealing over $145 million from the American people. Alex was scared. Ferrando had a violent temper, everyone knew it. He had anti-bugging devices installed in the office because he was paranoid about being recorded. But Alex made a decision. He downloaded a hidden recording app on his phone and started secretly recording his boss. Every single day he showed up to work acting normal while quietly building a case. Then in August 2011, Ferrando fired him. It was the worst mistake Joe Ferrando ever made. Alex took everything to the FBI, the IRS, the EPA, the Department of Justice, and the SEC. Then, he did something that had never been done before in American history. He filed 3 separate whistleblower claims simultaneously under 3 different federal laws. Here's what that means and why every American needs to know this. The first was the False Claims Act. This law allows any private American citizen, not just lawyers or government employees, to sue on behalf of the U.S. government when someone is defrauding a federal program. If the case succeeds, the whistleblower receives between 15 and 30% of whatever the government collects. You just need evidence and a whistleblower attorney. The second was the Dodd-Frank Act, specifically the SEC whistleblower program. Because one of the companies involved was publicly traded, Alex could report securities fraud directly to the SEC. This program also rewards and legally protects people who come forward. The third was the IRS whistleblower program. Because the fraud involved stealing federal tax credits, Alex could report directly to the IRS and receive a financial reward. No one had ever used all 3 at the same time. Alex did. In May 2012, the FBI raided Ferrando's New Jersey office. The entire operation collapsed. 7 people were convicted. Joe Ferrando, the kingpin, pleaded guilty to wire fraud, false statements, and conspiracy. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison and ordered to pay $56 million in restitution. Court also seized his Ferrari, luxury cars, $1 million home, artwork, and a piano, all bought with stolen taxpayer money. The CEO of the publicly traded company involved was sentenced to 10 years in prison in one of the first ever successful prosecutions under the Sarbanes-Oxley Act for securities fraud. This became the largest environmental and securities fraud case in Indiana history. On the 30th of April 2020, a federal judge issued a $69.6 million judgment against the defendants, And Alex, the 21-year-old who walked into a job and found a crime, is entitled to a whistleblower reward of 25 to 30% of what the government collects. That's potentially over $17 million for doing what was right. In Alex's own words, I felt I had to stand up to such blatant corruption. My case shows that anyone can blow the whistle on corporate corruption and greed. His story was featured on CBS News as the case of the $100 million scam. Here's what you need to take away from this. If you ever discover fraud against a federal program, healthcare, government contracts, environmental programs, financial markets, you have legal options right now. The False Claims Act has recovered over $75 billion for U.S. taxpayers since 1986 and paid out billions in rewards to ordinary Americans who came forward. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to be powerful. You just need evidence and the courage to make one phone call to a whistleblower attorney. The system counted on Alex's silence. He didn't give it to them. Hit subscribe because every week we cover real stories of everyday Americans who refused to get played and actually won.